share the agenda. And you know
Mitch,
how we do
your mic
check-in.
is...
Go ahead. What was that?
I said, Mitch, your mic is... Yeah, sorry.
Do a temperature check. Anything you want to share about this past week? And I'll pass to Eduardo to kick us off.
Hello, everyone. Temperature checks. So I feel good. I a bit sad because of the statistics of the Discord and how we actually use the channels. I feel there's a little work on that end. For me, there was this statistics of basically text channels for working groups not being really active, and I don't know, I felt sad for that. And besides that, I really like what's going on. I feel there is only this loose end of connecting params party with the community that we will try to achieve, and I think with that integration in the community will be moved forward. And I will pass it on to Mr. Nate.
Yeah, temperature check is good. I think that you're getting a lot of the newcomers who are contributing are really starting to focus in and find their niche, which is really cool. I think, I feel like a lot of people are in a good spot right now, and I really enjoyed the params party yesterday, and the configuration dashboard looks amazing. Outside of that, there's not too much that I've witnessed, but I will pass it to Wonka.
Well, yeah, I feel that a lot of interesting things are happening, and I feel that we are getting a pace. Today I got distracted and I couldn't go to the forefront event, but I'm talking with Chewy that he could go and that it went well, so that's a relief. And I'll pass to Libby.
Sorry, Tam, I just messaged you. You didn't give me the link to the DAO, Ocean DAO. That's why I couldn't go there.
Got it. It's just their Discord server. I'll find it.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead, Libby.
Thanks. Temperature check. I think I've been getting a sneak peek into other communities, and every time I feel so proud of us and of like all of the processes we've been upholding and how things are flowing here in the complexity we have. I went to the Ocean DAO Town Hall meeting today, and they are starting to have stewards, and they were having some governance talks, and they were trying to introduce quadratic voting, but then that came with so many problems, and they were discussing like going back to what they had before until they're more prepared to switch over. And I was thinking like how sometimes it feels like we are stuck in some of the processes, but it's because we're putting so much thinking in it and really doing things like in a pace that everyone can be integrated with it. And I think it really shows. And I do think that we have a very distributed decision making for like a lot of the small things that happen, a lot of the tasks that get picked up. And again, sometimes I feel like it doesn't show from the things that I hear from us. Like, I think it can get, I don't know, we can feel stuck very easily, but I think we're moving really far in a beautiful way. And I'll pass to Griff.
Yeah, I mean, we are in full force. Like the param parties are flowing. I feel like people have backups, like Wonka is saying. It's really cool. I feel like we're just like a really good team. And it's feels so rewarding. Just got done with the Common Stack AMA. Mitch, Marco, and Vitor were jumping in. I gave another presentation. I feel like I gave a presentation in the last minute that Z invited me to, and just the response to what we're doing is so incredible. It just feels rewarding every time I get to talk about it to people, and the response is always so positive. So it's yeah, I feel like we're just in a great place, and the community is really kicking up. I'm seeing new people in calls like every time, basically. And I can imagine that it's only going to get better with the prom parties going. And I mean, Gravity is just killing it. So many people. The one with Durgadas yesterday was great. So yeah, I'll pass it to Gene.
Hello, I'm just listening in or peering in, and trying to get an idea of what all the important people do. And
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Gene. I didn't give you any setup. This is basically a heat check on the community. So like your personal like thoughts on like what are you seeing that's working well? Is there anything that's not working well, or like how are the vibes?
well, I'd say the vibes are very good. It's empathetic and inclusive, and yeah, I was just listening in to Chewy give a talk to Forefront, and they did just a brilliant job of humanizing the group, and just describing the intentions, and the purpose, and yeah, breaking it down based on everybody's individual questions. It was really impressive. So yeah, the heat check is hot at the moment. Very, very nice.
Cool. And I'll pass
it to the next person. I'm sorry, I don't know who's next. Please jump in.
It's cool. Pass it to Zep.
Thanks, Tom. Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, don't feel sad, Edu. Like, these statistics are just statistics, and now you look into them. Like, I know, like, on Communitas, you guys are going to do an amazing work on fixing those statistics. So, yeah, heads up. And, yeah, I just wanted, like, I feel like the vibes are high. And I would just like to maybe get some more comments on the audit proposal. Like I would like to know from the stewards if you like especially 0.5 and 6, like, I see some likes, but I don't know like the opinion. So yeah, just before developing it, like I like to hear the opinion, like if that's okay, or if not, and yeah, just some comments on those 0.5 and 6 of the audit would be great. And yeah, but overall everything's going fantastic. I'll pass it to YGG. Just temperature check.
Thanks, Septi. Hey guys. Good stuff. Yeah, I really resonate with what's been said. Nice to see so many new faces around the community. The labs are popping off. We had like 6 new people in there last Friday, which was crazy. That was really awesome to see. Also really happy that Metaverde has volunteered to run the labs for a couple months. I think November to February, she's going to be doing Solidity development training courses and that kind of stuff. That's super cool, and that's good for me. I worked that out with her because that's the same time that I'm going to be teaching with the rewards research group with the governauts, so it works out really well for me. And yeah, I think that the dust has long settled since the hatch, and now we've had time to really stabilize and find our groove with things, and just in time for like the momentum building with the new param parties now. For phase 2. So really, really interesting time. I think it's really good. I think the stewards here have really come into their groove, and we have a lot of the sort of rituals that have settled, and we're kind of refining a lot of the details of the community. So I think it's like really good. I think everyone's feeling pretty good. So that's yep. And I'll pass it back to Tam.
And let's see, Mitch.
Temperature check, I feel really great. It's cool to start showing off the dashboard like we did in the comment stack earlier today, and hopefully in the next couple days we could start getting some legitimate proposals. Well, start debating on some legitimate proposals to upgrade this commons. So I think temperature check is hot, and I'll give it to Craig.
Yeah, hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
I'm not sure if you can hear me. I'm on mobile, traveling, can't say much. I am headed to East Portland, though, so yeah. Thank you.
Cool. And I'll pass it to Chewy.
Thank you, Tam. The Forefront DAO presentation went so well. I'm all pumped up. Like I got like Carlos Matos vibes. Like I'm so pumped for that presentation. It was super motivating to see people excited about the TEC, to see people like approach confused about it. And you know, it's always like tough to have everyone like be able to explain it to someone else, but when they get excited, it's super cool. So it's always good to, you know, like take a few steps back and to remember what we are doing. So this was really good for me. I really love that I'm finally laying down the advice proposal for the advice process, sorry, for the funding proposal for the comms working group. And oh my God, like I love the params parties, and also like reaching out you know, to people and to other communities, and to put out there the message that params parties are back. Like people get it, like people have heard of this stuff, and I'm just so excited to see the results of people approaching the new commons configuration dashboard. So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to pack these parties this week and the next one. And yeah, temperature check, boiling point. So excited about everything. I'll pass it to Libby.
I think I'm the last one. Yeah, I think it's just me left. And I'll say the same thing. I feel a lot of enthusiasm and excitement, and so many people in the community taking initiative and doing things. And it's exactly, you know, what we want to see, this duocracy, people just doing things. And Communitas is really on a roll. I think it's going to be really nice to when we're able to launch the new Day Zero Discord onboarding journey. And I think just the processes for creating new roles and what we're calling guides right now to personally welcome people and maybe help Eduardo a little bit, since he's been doing it single-handedly, and maybe having like Eduardo and 2 or 3 more people being these guides in our community and really helpful too. It's going to be really nice. So I am really excited about a lot of things this week as well. I feel like the energy's been very high. You know, from the stewards working group, I do feel like going through this first offboarding process is something new for us, and it's sort of something that we should welcome with, I don't know, I feel like we should like gracefully welcome the offboarding process. So it should be something that we just should be constant, actually. And so with that, I'll move to the next thing, which is, okay, our public service announcement. Have you checked your GitHub notifications? If you haven't, now's a great time. And then to go through the funding proposal updates, there's not much in terms of updates. I threw in a 3-month projection for the lab based on an old proposal that's on the forum from quite a long time ago. But I haven't updated the other numbers, so maybe it's not worth spending too much time about that. But in terms of offboarding stewards, when I was starting to write out what I thought the process could look like, I started to actually draw it out instead. And I've come up with this, which I think should be cleaner for people to see, which I'd like to share here first, and then maybe post it on the forum. But the idea is that the onboarding process is what we know, right? You're nominated by another steward. There's a week for the nomination to be challenged, and the nominee either accepts or refuses the nomination. If they do accept it, there's an onboarding ceremony, and then there's like this steward's, like, now you're a steward, and you're sort of, sorry, when I think about the responsibilities that we have from our stewards, the thing that really stands out for me is, all other things aside, it's, you know, somebody who is active and present, who is a servant leader, and who's in the know. And I think those three things are really the main criteria. And there was a suggestion really early on in one of the posts by Anne-Marie around time-bound stewardship. And I've had a number of advice process with a number of stewards to talk about what this could look like. And I think the idea that I'm working with now is there's a 6-month period. Every 6 months, all of the stewards would renew our commitment to being a steward. And if we don't do that, our stewardship just expires. So the offboarding process is really threefold. Either your stewardship just expires because you haven't renewed your commitment, or you've decided you want to self-offboard. You have a new focus in your life, you're really involved in another organization, you're having a crisis in your personal life, or you're nominated for offboarding because you might not have been able to attend meetings for 4 weeks or for 6 weeks. And the reason this is so important is because now when we're building our funding model for the Stewards Working Group, we want to be able to reward servant leaders who are active and present and in the know. And we want to make sure that for the stewards who don't really fit that criteria, there's a graceful way to exit the stewardship, and then just to reward or compensate those stewards that do fit these three categories. So the new things here really is the stewardship is 6 months. And rather than keep track of when everyone starts and stops the stewardship, we all follow the fall and spring equinox. So there will be a time in March and a time in September where all of the stewards will, in a place on the forum, which makes sense, is to be determined, we'll just say, I'm Tamara, I'm the steward of this, I've been doing these things, I would like to continue. I mean, I'd like to reaffirm my commitment to continuing these things. And that is actually really all it takes. So that's my thinking so far. I'd love to hear if there are any anything that jumps out, since I haven't been able to share this with everyone yet. And rather than going around, I'm just going to say, anyone like to comment on this or ask questions or anything?
Looks good.
Great.
I think it's great.
Fine. Okay, cool. Cool, great. I think that, yeah, I think that's going to be a nice way just to keep the stewardship very active. And that's the idea, because we have the roles of steward and people will ask us questions on Discord. And I think it's really important that we keep it active. Okay, cool. So Jean was brought to my radar like the 11th hour. I think actually it might have even closed by the time we brought it to my radar, but there is an, I'm going to really screw this up because I still don't even know what it is, but there is a group Optimism and there's a quadratic vote for retroactive public funding. And he submitted a submission for the TEC. So I actually wrote to them asking if they could withdraw our submission because I think the wording was, I think, Jean, the wording was like there was common stock and TEC and then my name was on it instead of, I don't know, maybe a group of stewards or something, but they didn't. So we're on here now. So I don't actually know what to do with this. I feel like now that we're on here, we should probably do something. I don't know anything about how Optimism works, how their retroactive public funding will work, or what we can do. But I wanted to see if Griff or maybe Chewy or Nate or Mitch or anyone or YGG is more familiar with this and whether there's something that we should do to solicit votes.
My understanding is that there's
param. So I mean, we could try to hold a param party in the Optimism Discord. But basically, Optimism is a roll up. You know, it's a layer 2 solution run by Carl Flourish, and who's like really good buddy with Vitalik. And they have this idea of retroactive goods funding. I honestly don't know how retroactive the TEC is yet, but we can try, and we can show them what we're doing with param parties. But the idea is to like reward people who have put in a lot of work in the past, and then you know, like, yeah, and that's basically it. And their version of public goods is like, you know, Ethereum public goods. So that's why Girly is like a testnet, is getting a lot of support. So I don't know. Oh, and the other thing is that I think there's like 100 badge holders. Gene, you might know more than I do, but there's these only 100. There's only a certain number of groups of people that can vote. So, you know, we'd have to lobby for them basically. Yeah.
Yeah, it's split between the Optimism and Ethereum badge holders. So yeah, it's a classification based on their community, I guess. But I'm going through the process of their badge holder manual. I obviously, that's very true that we don't have a lot of potential track record, but it is yeah. So it's not, I guess, not super great for retroactive, but this is the first iteration of this process. So this is experiment number 1 of, you know, obviously potentially many. So to just, you know, have a reasonable submission, and perhaps like hope for, I don't know, like a token is you know, symbolic, a token single vote or something like that. You know, signal that you know, we're this is, you know, something that's central to the community, even if we don't hope to, you know, draw any funds. Maybe to just lobby for, you know, a signal that to watch this space in the future would be a good idea.
Did you end up doing a tweet thread? Should we all should we all retweet the tweet thread?
No, and I haven't you know, got with David or anybody in comms yet about it. And yeah, okay. The process is for lobbying is you know, inside the rules. It's just fine. It's just as long as in a public forum, you can communicate with the badge holders, and they can. There's 26 that are able to vote as it is right now. I think it's 12 for one group and 14 for the other. So they can. There's only 6 that have voted up to this moment, and they're allowed to change their votes, and they don't have to vote for just one. They can spread their credits across a distribution of groups that they feel should receive, you know, attention. So you know, we could certainly try, you know, hope for a little bit of influence going forward. But yeah, the lobbying effort would be neat.
It's an interesting moment for PR, frankly. I love the idea of a params party on their Discord. That would be really great if we could organize that. I mean, they have some really great projects in here too. Okay, do you think someone from the params team would be interested in reaching out about hosting a params party there, if they are interested in having that? Just explore that option.
I mean, I can definitely put that on my radar when the param thing is going well. When does this thing end?
I think it's two more weeks for voting to take place.
Cool. So yeah, maybe I can try to do one next week. I can jump in their Discord and ask if they would be down.
That'd be great. That would be fantastic. Cool. Thanks for doing that, Gene. That was very, very cool to find out that we did that. Okay. All right. So unless there's anything else on that, we'll move into the buy-in proposal on the forum. So I think that it's good that the params team have their idea, have some number in mind for what this figure should be as we're configuring our params. However, it'd be great, even better if it was like community approved and on lock. So in order to move it forward, I think maybe there's some reworking to do if we want to incorporate this idea of having, I mean, really the feedback is having the strategic partnership and secondary liquidity market not being so concretely separate, maybe having that one pool that can slush in between the two. And maybe the idea of waiting some time before we start making partnerships. I proposed a group of 7 people to be the multi-sig holders. It's everyone I checked with to see if they would want to do it, because it's kind of a responsibility to do to make sure that you can be available for these. And Zepp and I had some conversations. He'd also like to nominate some other people, and as well as, if I understand, to do a rank voting. So I want to give you a moment, Zepp, to share your thoughts about it, and then maybe we could decide how we can move forward with this.
Yeah, I just wanted to make the process more open. Like anyone who wants to volunteer to be there, like they should, if they want, they should be there. And I'm really concerned, like I really think we should at least, like the least we could do is to the top holders, just ask them, hey dude, like do you want to get involved in that? Maybe they don't want to, and that's fine. But I feel like we should at least ask them, and if they want, then we just put them into the ranked choice voting and let the token holders decide how that's going to be.
Okay, my initial reaction about token holders is that, I mean, if we go back to this idea of the stewards and those 3 core things, it's active and present servant leaders in the know. And I feel like people that should be responsible for, you know, having the keys to the TEC that we're holding for ourselves should fit that as well. So I'm not a big fan of saying any token holder, or like there's a number of tokens that you have to have before you become eligible for this. I'm a really big fan of saying it's just stewards. And yeah, that's my thinking about it, that it should be a steward.
I really feel like, you know, like the TEC as an entity is the token holders. So the token holders might decide what they want to do. And I really think we should take in consideration these top ones. Like they are part of the economy. If they leave this economy, this is like, you know, this is gone. Like, and even if, you know, like every part of the system, it's important. So we don't need to, like, and a multi-sig actually should be like, to make sure like all these parts are agreed. And yeah, for me, it's very important. Again, like maybe they don't want to, and again, this is fine, but I think we should at least ask them, and I actually volunteered to DM all of them, explain them a little bit what's going on, like, because right now, it's 200K, and who cares, but then this is going to be even more, you know, like, and it's going to be a huge percentage of the economy, and I think it's important to be in the aware of everyone, and I think the process also should be more open.
So I just want to kind of ask these questions about this, is that, you know, do we have an agreement on like the amount of signatures that we want on there? So I think there's 7 you said, Tam? And so depending on that threshold, do we want to have, like, is there going to be a process involved where, say, hey, you know, I don't want to be a signature anymore? Is there a process that we have like a group of people who are willing to step in and things of that nature?
So the process we came up with is basically you have to be nominated to be by a community vote on Snapchat. And I guess if somebody wants to be forcibly removed, you know, somebody could step down at any time, of course. But if somebody should be removed who doesn't want to step down, that would probably also require a community vote for that. And I don't know if there's like I don't necessarily know there's 7 people who are accepting this responsibility and then a list of other people. I mean, if we say it's just the stewards, then we certainly have a fixed list. I guess one question, Zep, I want to share is there any conflict of interest of the top 5, like let's say the top 7 token holders now have the keys to vote on the proposals that they'll unlock for, like, is there any conflict of interest you might see there?
I mean, it's like I think like the power should be distributed on different groups. Like maybe there is not a conflict now, but what about in the future? Like you cannot guarantee like it's not going to happen anything. Like especially when money starts to play in the game, like I feel like conflict will be huge. And and yeah, that's it.
I will say, after we allocate those funds, the amount of funds that these people will be in charge of is going to be a lot less than the 200,000 that we have in there at the very beginning. So I think the risk is distributed at the end of the day once we start distributing it to different working groups and so on.
Okay, I open the floor for anyone else who wants to share their opinion before we move on to the next topic. Please do share your opinion now. Otherwise, I'd say let's keep that thread going until we can reach a conclusion and post this on for community vote. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, we could always have like a hybrid solution where like a percentage is stewards and a percentage is top token holders. Proportionate representation.
I just hope that the top token holders have the time to care to vote. That's all.
Yeah.
I know many of them want that responsibility. I mean, in the end, all this thing does is like execute the will of the people, right? I mean, I'm down if someone wants to nominate. I don't think we have to say it's only stewards, but someone would have to be like, yeah, I want to do this stuff.
So then, should we say anyone in the community, or is there some number of tokens somebody has to own?
I was suggesting at least 1% of the token, but it was just a suggestion. Like, actually, I mean, if the community wants, can vote for anyone. But I think like 1% is good.
Any thoughts? Anyone?
Hey guys, sorry, I've been a little bit distracted, but can we get sorry if this is redundant, but can there be a really quick overview of what exactly are we talking about the buy-in proposal on the forum?
Yeah, we are. And we're talking about basically the people who would have the initial multi-sig. So the 7 people who would be the 7 people who would have the 4 of 7 multi-sig to basically execute the will of the proposals that have passed by community vote. These would be the people who are just responsible for making sure that happens. And it's sort of, the original proposal was it has to be a steward. The idea being that stewards are active. We know that they're part of our community and that they're showing up every day. And the another alternative suggestion is that it can be either anyone in the community or anyone in the community with at least 1% of token supply. I mean, it introduces some weird questions, right? Like, now you don't have like you sell tokens, do you automatically get booted off the
Yeah. Okay, I think it should just be stewards. I think that's really simple. As long, and then, but that kind of delegates to another issue. Like, as long as the whole process of becoming a steward and who the stewards are is really transparent, which it totally is, because I mean, this call is open to everyone every week, and yeah, I think it's just really simple to have it be the stewards.
I'm going to turn to Livia to ask, how do we figure out the next step here? Is this something that we have all the stewards vote on? Is this something that the proposal writer, which was Zep, myself, and Mitch, come and like find an agreement on? What do you think is the right next step here?
I think this is a case of an advice process that might need to vote, right? Because it's one of the scenarios that we've been talking about, like that it could be solved only through advice process, but then there was a pushback and there are controversial opinions. So maybe the next step would be doing a vote. I think it's a quite delicate vote to have, you know, to vote on like who are the people that are going to be responsible for this. But we could put all the nominations in the ranked choice voting. I think though we're only able to put up to 5 options for a choice. So maybe let me think about it a little bit.
Really, you can only put 5 options?
I think so. I'll try right now, but I remember trying and it was only that. But maybe I'm wrong. Let me check.
We could use token log. If the 5 options is still a thing.
Yeah, we could use token log.
You can do as many as you want on Snapshot. I just
Really?
tested.
Did you
Yeah,
just check?
I just tested.
Oh, nice. Okay, so let's do that. Let's do a snapshot rank choice with all the names that were nominated. I mean, first step is just asking all of the people that were nominated if they agree, if they want to be in. And then if everyone said yes, then we do this rank choice for picking 7 people. Is that the final number we're looking for?
7, that's correct. Okay, who wants to take that on?
Yeah, I could take it. And I don't know if regarding because you know, like I also do not know the top whales, and I don't know. I don't know. Like but I feel like they should get contact. So I don't know if I could do it, but if someone who have more contact with them want to do it, I feel it would be also better. But if no one, I could do it.
If you would draft the message, Zep, I can
Yeah.
message all of them.
Okay, yeah, I'll draft you a message.
I think you're gonna own this one, Zep, since you're the one who's opened up the can of worms. You gotta own it, buddy.
Okay, I'll go.
Cool. Yeah, cool. Okay, excellent. So we're out of that. Good luck. The list that I nominated, everyone did agree. It wasn't always easy actually, because there was some questions about it is a responsibility actually. It's not like an easy yes actually. But yeah, let's check with the other people and the token holders too. I think that in that case, we should also describe the what happens when token holder holdings change. So let's say somebody has 1% and then in a month they have less than 1%. What happens? Do they automatically get expunged from the committee?
I think when they're on, they're on. I mean, it's not a committee; it's a multi-sig, right? 7 people,
Yeah.
and there will be the token freeze and token thaw, so they won't just like be able to exit probably. So it'll be more like, you know, I imagine that most of our work in this multi-sig will be done after a few months.
The freeze and thaw applies to tokens bought on the open market? Or just
No,
hatch
but just hatch tokens. But
oh, so you're saying that
we're gonna
the
set the
current
multi-sig.
1%. Right. Okay. But in the future, there could be somebody that just buys 1%.
Totally. But then that's not for this multi-sig, right? I mean, we're not talking about a stewards multi-sig. We're talking about a multi-sig specifically for the initial buy, right? Or is this like a general purpose treasury multi-sig?
No, this is specific for the initial buy. For the special purposes allocation.
So I imagine it will just end up holding these liquidity tokens and basically be doing nothing for a long time. And then we'll have to we'll have to rotate if there's something that we have to do with that liquidity or whatever it ends up holding.
Okay.
But we could even just send that liquidity to something, to like the DAO.
But it's not only the liquidity, it's also the strategic partnerships.
Yeah, but when the strategic partnership deals are done, then it's done.
Okay, it's in Zepti's hands. Cool. Anything else before we move on? Maybe we can see if there's any last minute thoughts about that, or okay. Param party outreach and comms. I know that there was going to be a conversation today. I don't think it happens, around crafting a message for comms and also for the Hatcher outreach team to sort of do personal outreach to all the Hatchers again.
Yeah, we couldn't find a time.
Okay. Okay, so we'll keep on the channel looking for another time. I asked Eduardo if he was interested in drafting a proposal, drafting a message to Hatchers, that then we can do the same thing that we've done, a number of times before, of having a message ready and then getting everyone taking a list and reaching out to Hatchers individually again. I think that's probably a good way.
Yeah, and I think we also have to consider now not only the Hatchers, but the community in general. What will be because we will have the message in Twitter and so on, and email and so on, but what will be the message for the community in general, or Amplify, or like besides the announcement of the call, if there will be any other kind of descriptions. We got an onboarding call that we just left of a bunch of people who were interested in params, but they at the beginning they thought, oh, params, you mean inclusivity, you mean 30 women, 40 men, So it's nice to have this clarification for the community in general what the params party are about, even if it sounds silly because we're so familiar with that. That's also that could be helpful for in general to share, so people can have an understanding of what it would be. And I think also sharing, for example, I remember Lauren's YouTube video where she explains back in the day her params, like how it works, because dynamic also could be confusing for people if they join right away to the call.
So 2 things on that. Number one, we will make a video, but probably not till next week, because there's we really want to add this feature of so you can add a scenario for conviction voting, and we're going to change the table so it's proposals, and unfortunately it's still in active development. So until that is solid and there's no bugs or features that we feel compelled to add, we don't want to do the video necessarily. So we're a week away from having a video. But the other thing is that for the Twitter, or for all the Hatcher outreach, I think that we can really also use that as an opportunity to say, hey, would you like us to do a param party in your Discord? And I feel like that kind of outreach would be huge for the TEC. It's whoa, these guys are doing some interesting collaborative token engineering. Cool.
I agree. I think that's a possibility on that. What would be cool is just to have a framing of how that could happen, and the point of contact for that. So for example, if what just happened with Forefront. So who is the point of contact after they have been outreach? Me, Griff. So it's just nice to identify this path so we can be clear at the moment we do the outreach.
Yeah, I mean, I can be a point of contact for other parties outside of our Discords.
I would be open to doing that as well.
Take it, Mitch. Take it. Sorry, that's a B.
Cool. Wait a minute. What did I just do? Sorry. Okay, cool. So now it's just crafting the messages and then sharing the messages. We could do this async and maybe collaborate on the params channel, stewards channel. Maybe stewards channel is a place to drop these messages and collaborate. Okay, next one. Just in terms of timing, I would think we start at least the individual outreach at the end of this week. So like Friday, Saturday, start sending messages so that people can start looking at params over the weekend when they're not head down in their own work, and through next week. Does that sound right in terms of like the params parties we want to send people to next week?
Yeah, end of next week, a week, and the week after.
End of next week?
Well, for like external parties, I feel like that it would be better for us to really have a handle on everything end of next week. So like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday next week before trying. I mean, we can do a few external. I think there might be someone in one hive or something, but if we're gonna need time to outreach to them. They're gonna need time to set up a time and coordinate and It's gonna take time, and it would be nice if before we're still beta testing, like how even param parties with this dashboard work. So I feel like we'll all have a better handle of what we need to do next round, like next week.
And then in terms of inviting hatchers to the parties, we should start
now.
right away.
Now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Cool. Anything else to share on this? All right. So Spotlight for tomorrow. I see somebody wrote hiatus. So are we officially on Spotlight hiatus?
We are indeed.
Okay,
so
cool.
This would be a good opportunity for working groups to really communicate everything that they want to communicate and get into the practice of really trying to grab new members and pulling them into their working groups.
Okay. And should we put together something for a monthly spotlight where we have maybe?
Yeah, I'm currently working on a new format for the spotlight so that we can feature a couple of projects and give them ample time to engage with the community and have the community ask questions about what they're doing and really focus on the proposals, that projects that are going to be asking for funds. So.
Okay, cool.
I will suggest, if possible, to also consider certain DAOs or projects that are referring to us back. I'm not gonna say forefront, but like DAO House or discourses, or because it's a DAO course and it's relevant for us also. But I think kind of paying back for the feedback they are giving, it could be interesting to consider some of these people that are referring to us to just have them every now and then.
What do you mean by that? Sorry.
Sorry, I'm not. This is so basically, it's about it's just like there's people who are showing up in our Discord, and in general sense, there are other communities who are mentioning us, and some of them could be interesting for the community to understand. Like, for example, DAO House. So my chain of thought was like, it could be nice to every now and then have one of these communities also be a spotlight for us, since we are being their spotlight.
Just kind of highlighting their DAO and their community.
In general, the project, however it is.
Yeah, it's interesting, the idea that it can evolve into something beyond what it was meant to be, which is the projects that are applying for funding, to give them a chance, to give the community a chance to understand those projects better before they're voting on them. which was the original intention, I think, and that could still be, maybe we could expand beyond that, or experiment with things until we have conviction voting up and we have proposals and can spotlight and can highlight those proposals. Okay, cool. I guess the important piece here is definitely that tomorrow, on tomorrow's call, we will have a few extra minutes at the end, or we may have a few extra minutes at the end. So Vi and I were playing with this new Discord bot to announce calls on our channels before the calls. It's a little bit clunky, but there are some, it's a little clunky. And we tested it. We've been testing it on a setup channel. And yesterday or the day before, we tested it in 2 working groups in comms and SoftGov. So yesterday. And there's this strange feature, there's a strange pattern that after it announces the call, it also, at the end of the call, it sends an announcement for the call that's going to happen in 7 days. So it's sort of like announcement with the banner, and then there's, the call is starting now. And then at the end of the call, there's the banner again. So it looks a little clunky. It's on their roadmap to fix that, but it's probably like a small team or a 1-person team who's actually working on it. And so we have 2 options. We just move forward with this bot, and we try to help encourage and support the SESH FYI dev team to prioritize some of these features that are already on their roadmap. Or we go back to the homemade bot, which has certain limitations in that we wouldn't be able to support the bi-weekly calls. So those would just be off the radar, and it's just really difficult to modify. I'm sort of leaning towards we move forward with the SESH bot. And even though we have that strange little, at the end of the call, we have the announcement for the next session, I think we just go through with it. I don't know if anyone has a strong opinion on this, but I wanted to pose it to everybody.
I like the SESH bot a lot, and I think the additional features that come along with it are really nice too. So I'm for it.
Okay.
Yeah, same here. I really like the fact also that you can press attending to the call, so you can see actually who is going to show up. And then secondly, I think it's just something aesthetical, the second notification one. And if it bothers so much because there was something paused and whatever, we can just delete the message and that will be gone. So I lean towards productivity over aesthetic.
Cool. I tend to agree. So good. And the really big win is that any steward there's a dashboard, and you could change the image, you could change the time, you could change anything you want about your working group announcement. So it's just so much easier, and it doesn't end up getting bottlenecked in our issues to make small changes.
How do you get the attendance to show in there? Because I see there is a thing that says attending, but then
when you click the emoji, so I think I set one up with attendance call and one without. And so the one that has with, and you could change those in the dashboard as well. You just click on the checkbox, and that automatically adds you to the attendee list.
Okay.
And you can customize it so you get DM messages that remind you. You can add it to your calendar. They don't have an integration with our group calendar, but anyone can add it to their own calendar so that it stays on their calendar as a recurring calendar meeting. If somebody wants to come, just go to SoftGov and they see this post, they can add it to their personal calendar and it'll be recurring in their calendar. So there is some nice features. It's just, there's just some constraints that we have to work with, but I'm for going forward with it too. And then here's just a very simple, there's a banner for everyone, an agenda for everyone, just to do some testing. And I thought we would sort of roll out 2 to 3 every week, just to sort of learn about the kinks. as we're rolling them out. And so maybe Vi and I will come back and have a revisit with this plan, and then come back to the stewards with how we're going to do it. Okay, so moving on from the Discord bot, how writing out the voting process for the params, help write out the voting process for params.
Yeah, I think we need to take Livia's old post for the hatch and reformat it basically to be like, hey, this is how we're choosing parameters, and put it on the forum. I haven't seen that up yet, and well, my bad. We need to do that, and probably even have, I guess, advice process around it, or deciding how to decide what the final parameter set is. And I think we have a general vibe of how it's going, but I haven't seen it written out. And do you have any thoughts, Livia, specifically, or is there anything done on that yet?
I think that could be the case for a working group advice process, like something that can be decided in a call with the people that are mostly involved in the process so far. And then we don't need to open for a huge thing, because that would take too long.
Great. I like to hear that. And I think we know how this goes, and we all have an expectation, and I think that expectation would be met. So does anyone want to help me write this write this forum post?
Yeah, I can help you.
Oh, fun. We don't get to work together enough, Livia. That'll be great.
I was also going to ask about the param votes, because looking at the submissions and stuff, it seems really interesting that it would be easy to vote on the different modules. If you look at one proposal and say, man, I really like their bonding curve setup, and voting on that specific one, and then having kind of these custom thing at the end, but I don't know if that's possible.
It's not ideal, because these economies need to be holistically designed. So the whole point is you can fork. If you like their bonding curve proposal, you can fork and propose your favorite combination of all four. But then we need to see in the dashboard, how does that look? What does that look like with the full parameter set? How expensive are the tokens, and how many tokens are needed to pass a proposal for $1,000, right? Those two things are working together. So you have to have the whole thing together in one set and say, this is what the outcome would be. So it's totally, you can do that through forking, but through voting, it has to be the full parameter set.
Yeah, it makes sense. Thank you.
We are at the top of the hour. So thanks, everyone. We didn't get through everything. So drop some messages in Stewards channel, and we can keep moving through things.